All right. Well, thank you very much to Chad, PMA, SIGSITE, and AIE. It's been an excellent conference so far, and I really appreciate also the excellent attendance, turnout, and engagement. I wanted to share some of our perspectives on this industry. We've been active, obviously, in the home digital printing for many years, and with different centrally focused machines for some time. We entered the retail space now 6 years ago, or 5 years ago, and we're still very, very bullish about this overall photo publishing space. HP has invested a tremendous amount into this, and we really believe that this is still a tremendous growth opportunity for us, for the industry, and there's a lot of exciting things that we together can bring to the consumers. There are some really big challenges, though, and part of it is also the legacy that we're all dealing with. I think that some of that is holding us back on really on the pace at which we're bringing out new services to customers while also finding business models that make it all attractive for us. A lot of these trends that are affecting our industry have been touched upon. I think Barb hit every single one of my key trends here in her presentation. No news here. We're seeing a tremendous explosion of different devices for capturing and sharing. Camera phones are already having a massive impact for how people interact with images, especially fueled by social media. We're also seeing a breakdown of channel barriers, both from partnerships, but also from consumers' perspectives of how they interact with the different systems. Tremendous amount of different technology. We just had the panel that showed some of the exciting innovation that's hitting the space. And if anything, it's becoming more complex for consumers to figure out sort of how to spend their time and where to focus. We all need to find a way to simplify it for them. We just hit on the Gen Z. I'm a little confused about all the letters. I think I'm Gen K is what I would call myself. But we have the young generation, which obviously is growing up with an interaction model that is completely screen-based. And us really understanding what the role of printed output has for them in their life going forward is something that's critical for us to figure out. Fundamentally, the motivations for consumers are still the same. It's still about recording events, interacting socially and personally with their families and friends, expressing oneself, having different functional aspects, whether it's in the community, in sports, in school, could be in different work environments. Barbara had a lot of examples of good B2B examples where people use images. And ultimately, it's about storytelling. These are all still true. This is still what people are doing today. Just they have so many more options for how to do this. From an industry perspective, we have made tremendous advancements. Our cameras are now increasingly ubiquitous, also in emerging markets with camera phone growth. Storage space is tremendous, what is available and the different means for this. We have many different sharing options, and we also have many different ways to drive output and options for what to fulfill. Now, the market realities are that as a whole, consumers are printing. They're still printing, but they're printing less than they used to. And what's more worrisome is that the youngest segments are printing much less than the same aged groups were printing 10 years ago and 20 years ago. They still prefer to do it across many channels. They want to do it on their terms and how it's convenient for them. And we need to really embrace that. We also need to internalize that images today are scattered across so many different device and storage places. Infotrends had recently released some data where they had, I believe it was the number of images by where they were stored. And for images that came from digital cameras, around 50% were stored on PCs and external hard drives. Only, or less than 10% were actually stored online. So while cloud storage is a very appealing side, it's still it's a small portion. And 15% were still sitting on different flash memory devices. Conversely, with camera phones, over 50% were still on the phones. So still 50% of images, and this is billions of images, are still locked up in people's phones. And only a little less than half people had figured out how to get it off the phones onto their computers or online storage. That is a reality that will be very difficult to shift in one way. We would all love to be able to have a single solution that works for everybody. Intuitively, one thinks that cloud storage should be the answer. The reality is it won't be. People will be, to a degree, also stuck in what they first learned, and that's how they're going to proceed. So we have to accept the reality that images are scattered, and we need to find a way to touch the customers, again, on their terms. There is still a lot of opportunity out ahead in front of us. Today, with the scattering of images and scattering of where people create and how they share things, from an individual consumer's perspective, they have all of this content out there that's kind of locked into different places. We need to find ways to integrate that for the consumer. And a single player can't do that by themselves. So we have to find a way to be comfortable to work together through partnerships and enable consumers to let these images flow. Also driving a more flexible output creation process. Already we're seeing good adoption of creation online and pick up in store and such, but it's still on a global basis fairly nascent. We conducted a sizable survey in the US, I think about 1,200 people, and got really clear answers. 70% of people want to order online. They want to create in the comfort of their home and place an order there. But 77% want to pick it up in store because they want the immediate gratification of the same-day delivery, and they also want the reassurance of there being a person to interact with if they need help or if something is wrong. Those are pretty strong indicators of really where we should focus. Let's see. So if we look at kind of a three-prong approach for how to look forward, is we still today have a lot of work to do for making it easier for consumers to preserve and share their experiences. You know, I just realized I skipped. Yes, so before we go there, so here is our estimates of sizing, which is sort of has looked at all of the different estimates that are out there, plus some of the data we have insights to ourselves. This is on a global basis expressed in dollar value of end customer spend. We estimate that today the photo print market is a $24 billion industry across all channels, central, home, retail. That's a really massive industry. Developed markets have been declining, but emerging markets have still had growth. We believe that in aggregate, the CAGR over the next 5 years will be negative 3%, with emerging markets being roughly 0 and developed markets anywhere from 5 to 7% negative. That means it's still a very massive market 5 years from now too. And this is the base we need to build off of to get into the other segments. However, if we focus solely on trying to protect this massive market because of its scale, and if we continue having our investment decisions be driven by protecting this, we'll never be able to drive to the right-hand side, which are the more profitable new growth opportunities. We estimate that the photo creative market today already, if you put in calendars, specialty prints, enlargements, photo books, cards and such, on a global basis is around $4 billion and about a 10% growth rate for the next couple of years. Then we have adjacent to that, not directly consumer photo categories. So these are some of the things that Barbara touched on around customized books, home decor, and other categories that can be converted and accessed by the photo publishing industry is another $6 billion, highly profitable and also growing. This is part of the opportunity, but also big part of the problem, the challenge, is that the photo printing still is a very big market today, and we're all collectively having a really hard time letting go of it. Now, what do we need to do? So we need to focus on continuing to simplify for the consumer, continuing to integrate across the boundaries of ecosystems. We need to embrace that the consumers have their own ecosystem, and we need to work within that. We do need to continue to generate new and compelling output options and accept the fact that there won't be a single killer product like the 4x6 again. We should leverage technology and the ability to automate, so basically bringing artificial intelligence into the processes is here to simplify. There's already quite a lot of good examples of that out there, and it's really one way that we can greatly simplify. From a business opportunity perspective, in the interim, it's really still around the printed output and the basic services. But we need to go beyond that into advanced services and really find monetization models based on the value that we provide to the users, and not just be dependent on monetization models that are based on the output. The other really key thing that we're struggling with is that as an industry we're very silent vis-a-vis the consumer. And it's difficult to argue that we should pony up big marketing funds to make noise about our category when we're seeing it decline from the past. So this again is a problem of being held captive to the size of what our market used to be. We need to find a way to separate ourselves from the old economics of photo prints and the size of that, and really look at this as a new business and invest in it accordingly. There's many different ways that one can market. Yesterday we had a session where we're especially focused on creating evangelists, and sort of with single individuals, use them as the spokespeople for you and really target. Now there's many different ways that one can spread the word without massive TV campaigns. So, as a final thought, it's all about teamwork. As an industry, if we partner, if we are willing to forego some of the silos that we're in and really attack this together, there's really nothing that can stop how exciting and attractive this market can be, not only from a consumer perspective, because what one can do now is just tremendously exciting, but also from a business perspective, because there's a lot of opportunities out there waiting to be monetized. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kalle.